The Public Benefit Organizations Regulatory Authority, formerly Non-Governmental Organizations Coordination Board, is a state corporation established under Section 34 of the Public Benefit Organizations Act for 2013 and is broadly responsible for the registration and regulation of the PBO sector in Kenya. It is domiciled in the Ministry of Interior and National Administration. As set out in Section 42 of the PBO Act, the authority is mandated to register and deregister public benefit organizations in accordance with the Act, maintain a register of public benefit organizations registered under the Act with precise sectors, affiliations, and locations of the activities, interpret the national policy on public benefit organizations so as to assist in its smooth implementation and observance by the government ministries, departments, and agencies at various levels, receive and review annual reports of public benefit organizations, advise the government on the activities public benefit organizations and their role in development within Kenya, issue forms, instructions, model documents, facilitate information sharing and networking between public benefit organizations and the government, institute inquiries to determine if the activities of public benefit organizations do not comply with the Act or any other law, provide advice and training to public benefit organizations, and do anything incidental or conducive to the performance of any of the preceding functions. The authority's top decision-making organ is the board, which consists of a chairperson appointed by the president and members drawn from government and PBO and private sectors. Decisions of the board of the authority are implemented by the Secretariat, the executive arm of the organization, which is headed by the Director General. In an effort to improve service delivery to the PBO sector and other stakeholders, the authority has decentralized its services by operationalizing regional offices that's in Eldoret, Garissa, Kisumu, Mombasa, and Nakuru. Even though the PBO Act was passed in 2013, it was not implemented until May 14, 2024, following a directive by President William Samoei Ruto. The President, while addressing the 2024 United Nations Civil Society Conference in Gigiri, Nairobi, that's on May 10, 2024, announced the government's decision to implement the PBO Act fully with immediate effect.
Politicians, those in government, those in the opposition, civil society, non-governmental organizations, into one space that then can figure out what is the future that befits all of us. Further, in recognition of the indispensable capacity of civil society sector in promoting education and awareness, inclusion, participation, and mobilizing collective action, we committed to operationalizing the Public Benefits Organizations Act. I made that commitment, and maybe civil society have been wondering what's happening. This act stuck in limbo for over a decade. Yet it aims to expand the space for government and non-governmental organization partnership and collaboration. I am proud to announce to you that we have every intention of living up to our commitment. That is why yesterday we executed the legal instruments to give the PBO Act effect as law in Kenya.
News immediately started sieving in that the Deputy President, Professor Kithure Kindiki, who was the then Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration, had announced the commencement date of May 14, 2024 through legal notice number 78 in the Kenya Gazette Supplement number 100 dated May 9, 2024. To fully operationalize the Act, there was a need to develop the PBO regulations, which are being launched today. This involved the harmonization of two draft regulations that had been developed prior to the presidential directive, one by the sector and another by the NGOs Coordination Board then, hence the reference to harmonized draft regulations. The harmonized draft regulations have been developed under the guidance of the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration, Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, and the Principal Secretary, State Department of Internal Security and National Administration, Dr. Raymond Omolo, in consultation with stakeholders, especially the PBO sector. The Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, puts the issue into perspective.
We remember that His Excellency President William Ruto operationalized the Public Benefits Organizations Act more than 10 years since its enactment in 2013. His Excellency, in recognition of the work that is done by the civil society and the non-governmental organization, and in recognition of our constitutional rights on fundamental freedoms and rights, declared that the Public Benefits Organization Act must be operationalized to enable the institutions established thereunder to benefit fully from the robust legal regime that was put in place in consultation with non-governmental organizations and civil society. This act should have come into effect immediately in terms of all the sections of the act, compliance by the organizations, but from the request of the public and recognition of the fact that the regulations are not in place, I recently gazetted an extension of these regulations up to June 2026. This will allow us to have a robust engagement to make sure that the regulations that are put in place are responsive to the needs of the stakeholders and benefits the people of Kenya. This launch of the regulations is a very important step which enables us to have final engagement before the wider stakeholder engagement with the public, and thereafter the processes that involve Parliament will ensue. And as soon as these regulations come in place, I am confident that we will beat the deadline and that those regulations, when they come in place, will enable us to now fully require every public benefit organization to be compliant. And as a ministry, we are very, very cautious and careful to ensure that we are abiding by our constitution and we are protecting non-governmental institutions, civil society, and all public benefit organizations that are undertaking various responsibilities together with government and others also independently checking what the government is doing.
The President's statement in Gigiri and in subsequent forums, including the United States, it has been clear that the government of Kenya appreciates the role the civil society plays in national development. Here is Dr. Raymond Omolo.
Today we realize a kept promise in Kenya's governance journey through the operationalization of the PBO Act and the introduction of critical regulations that will shape the future of this sector. For years, the public benefit organizations have played a vital role in driving social development, fostering economic empowerment, and addressing humanitarian needs across the country. Their work, often in collaboration with the government, has strengthened communities and uplifted countless lives. It is in recognition of this impact that the government has prioritized the full implementation of the PBO Act. The operationalization of this act provides clarity, structure, and predictability in the sector, ensuring that organizations operate within a transparent, accountable, and well-governed framework. This marks an essential shift from fragmented policies towards a unified, streamlined regulatory environment that upholds good governance and integrity. The harmonization of the draft PBO regulations we are launching today are designed to facilitate organizations in line with the PBO Act, which focused on transparency, sustainability, and the greater impact on the communities that we serve. We welcome the beginning of a new chapter in the regulation of the PBO Act within the sector in the country.
Dr. Omolo has overseen the transition to the new PBO regulatory framework journey, including presiding over a consultative meeting at Elementaita, which brought together government officials, the PBO sector, and development partners like the UNDP, Amkeni wa Kenya, to discuss the way forward. As a matter of fact, the PBO Regulatory Authority has involved various stakeholders in the development of the draft regulations, as the chair of the authority's board puts it.
We are here for such a great milestone that we've achieved for the last close to 1 year. The President took a bold step to gazette the Act, the PBO Act. During the campaigns, His Excellency the President, William Samoei Ruto, made a commitment. And being a man of his word, he went ahead to gazette the Act sometimes last year in May. We realized that we had 2 drafts of the regulations, and that has taken us at least some time to ensure that we have one harmonized draft. So we have gone out to engage the sector, who have been very supportive, and the government goodwill. We've walked this journey together as a board and with the management. We have very effective management led by my good friend, Dr. Kipto. They've also done a very good job to ensure that at least we have a harmonized or one draft. Now we are here because we want to launch this draft so that we go out there and subject it, because it's a requirement in the law. We subject it to the public participation. And we want to ensure that everybody is involved, especially in the sector and the government, so that by the end of the process, we will ensure that all the views from the sector are captured so that we have a document for posterity to ensure that this progressive law is not in any way hampered by anything that we may come up with. I want to give assurance to Kenyans, and especially the people in the sector, that is one of the most progressive laws. And we want to ensure, actually, when you look at this law, it's going to strike beyond our boundaries. It's one of the laws, when you look around what is happening in most leading nations in Africa, talk of South Africa and other countries, you will realize that Kenya is now taking a step and a lead in this sector. We want to invite all of you. We will be coming out there to interact with the public. We want your views so that when we bring out the document, it's a document that is accepted across the board. I wish also to point out that in the wisdom of authority and the government, we requested the minister to give us an extension. I want to appeal to the sector, to the players, to ensure that they maximize the time we've been given for the extension, so that at the end of the extension, we have operationalized the entire law as required. I will appreciate that if all of you will be willing and ready, so that nobody feels has been left out.
The development of the harmonized draft regulations started in April this year, when a consultant was hired to harmonize the 2 drafts. The authority's staff have also participated in this process. For instance, they recently had an opportunity at a workshop in Nakuru County to give their input, particularly on the harmonized draft regulations. The judiciary, through the Honorable Chief Justice Martha Koome, has already established the tribunal as required by the PBO Act. We are therefore today launching a product that has emanated from wide consultation and involvement of many stakeholders. Here is the authority's Director General. Take a look.
Today we gather to reflect on the journey we have worked towards a more accountable, impactful, and inclusive PBO sector in Kenya. At the heart of our work at the authority is a simple but powerful belief that the strength of the sector lies not in the uniformity, but in the unity of purpose. It lies in the collaboration, in shared responsibility, and in the deliberate inclusion of every voice, from international, national PBOs to the community-based organizations in the grassroots. The role of the authority is to enable the sector. We have a responsibility of facilitating a fair, transparent, and conducive environment within which organizations can operate, grow, thrive, and deliver on their missions. Through the support of our various stakeholders, the PBO regulations will be subjected to public participation countrywide to ensure meaningful input. The public participation process isn't just about ticking boxes. It's about staying true to our constitutional values and participation, transparency, inclusivity, and ensuring the final regulations truly reflect the voices of all our stakeholders. We stand ready to support, guide, and partner with all PBOs to ensure a seamless transition and a stronger future for the PBO sector. I urge all stakeholders within the sector to take full advantage of this time to align their operations, enhance coordination, improve compliance, and build sustainable partnerships. Collaboration and inclusivity are not just principles. They are the foundations upon which lasting change is built. Thank you, and let's embrace this new chapter with dedication and optimism. God bless you.
From here, the harmonized draft regulations will be subjected to public participation in line with the Constitution of Kenya, and then a validation process before being taken to Parliament for processing and consideration. All stakeholders are urged to actively participate in the public participation exercise starting later this month. We shall be announcing shortly the dates and venues for this exercise.
My name is Dr. Margaret Lubale, the Executive Director, and I'm so glad that we are now at the point where the PBO regulations are about to be launched. We have been following closely. On behalf of the HENEC board, staff, and membership, we wish to congratulate the PBO Regulatory Authority for the strides they have made this far, and we know that our partnership with them will help us to achieve a healthier Kenyan society.
The journey for commencement of the PBO Act has been a very long one that took almost a decade and a few more months. And the civil society sector has been at the heart of it. There has been a lot of efforts by the civil society organizations, specifically members of CFF, together with others that have been a part of the process to push for commencement. This is the third regime since the commencement of this law. And we are very happy that last year we got the commencement date. We know that the transition at PBO's Regulatory Authority slowed the process, but we are very happy now that we have fully constituted a secretariat to oversee the process of implementation. We, as the civil society organizations, will continue working together with the PBO's Regulatory Authority, together with other sector brothers and sisters, to ensure that we have a very smooth process of transition. We are very happy that the two sets of regulations have now been harmonized and that we have a draft that we can look at together and subject to a robust public participation exercise. Going into that process, we hope to continue working with the relevant stakeholders to support the civil society organizations in different areas and corners of the country. Number one, to be aware of the Act and the draft regulations. Number two, to help them identify any gaps that may be there in the draft regulation so that they can engage in meaningful public participation processes when the regional forums will be held in their counties. We will also work with the regulatory authority to ensure that the feedback from those corners of this country are considered in the final document so that we have a document that speaks the mind of the civil society organizations.
See you at the public participation forums. Thank you and God bless you.